What is up, book friends? Today's video is all about my summer TBR. So I don't like to be too strict with my TBR. This is going to be more of a guideline for what I'm planning to read this summer for probably the next 2-ish months or so. It's the beginning of July now till probably the end of August or beginning of September. So I have 10 books on this list plus an 11th bonus book. All of these books are things that I'm planning on reading, but I don't like to hold myself to the TBR too strictly. This is just a guideline, mainly just for the mood, but I like to leave room for spontaneous picks as much as I can, because I don't like to feel tied down, and I don't like being told what to read, and I definitely don't want a TBR list being the one to tell me what I should be reading. So the first book on this list is Malibu Rising by Jenkins Reid. I picked this because is there anything just more summery than a pool party? Plus, this book takes place in the 80s, and I just love the 80s. The music, everything was just so colorful. Everyone was just so carefree and happy. I wish we could go back to the 80s. I also picked this book just because I really loved Evelyn Hugo. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I read that recently, and I thought it was just amazing. It was the first Jenkins Reid book that I read, and I just thought it was great. It wasn't anything of what I was expecting, and so I'm expecting the same from this. So the synopsis for this book says, 4 famous siblings throw an epic party to celebrate the end of summer. But over the course of 24 hours, their lives will change forever. So I'm anticipating family secrets being revealed, relationships being tested, all set to the tone of a party that goes haywire. What is fun about a party if it doesn't go haywire? The second book is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I picked it up just because it has star and sea in the title, and I thought, what could be better than that? I really like the juxtaposition of the word star and sea. I just think they're two things that we see all the time, they're always in front of us, but we hardly know anything about. So the synopsis for this book says, Zachary Ezra Rollins is a graduate student in Vermont when he discovers a mysterious book hidden in the stacks. As he turns the pages, entranced by tales of lovelorn prisoners, key collectors, and nameless acolytes, he reads something strange, a story from his own childhood. This book sounds like it's just going to have it all. It sounds like it's going to have a mystery, possibly a romance. I actually don't know. I don't know much about this book except a few good reviews. It sounds like it's going to be a story of self-reflection, and I'm just in a very contemplative time in my life. I've been thinking a lot about things that have happened in my childhood and how they've brought me to where I am today. The third book on my list is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. So first, this book takes place in Hawaii, which automatically interests me because I just have this thing where I like to read books or watch movies set near where I live because then I get to play scavenger hunt with locations. I don't know, I just think that's fun. And really, I'm just all for the summer vacation vibes right now. I am not getting a summer vacation this year, and I am ready to live vicariously through a book. Not to mention, this book is just really popular all over BookTube, and I feel like I'm missing out, having not read it. And I just think, what kind of booktuber am I pretending to be if I haven't read The Unhoneymooners? Actually, I haven't read anything by Christina Lauren yet, so gotta get on that train. So the synopsis for this book says, Olive Torres is used to being the unlucky twin. From inexplicable mishaps to a recent layoff, life seems to be almost comically jinxed. Suddenly, there's a free honeymoon up for grabs, and Olive will be damned if Ethan gets to enjoy paradise solo. Agreeing to a temporary truce, the pair head for Maui. It just sounds like low-effort fun. I read a lot of books recently that I had to think a lot about, had complicated storylines, and this just sounds easy to understand, just a go with the flow kind of story, and I need that right now. So number 4 on my list is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. So I think maybe this book has been compared to Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, or I may be making that up. I loved that movie. I thought it was just so cute and whimsical and happy, and that's what I'm hoping for from The House in the Cerulean Sea as well. So this book follows Linus Baker. He is a by-the-book caseworker for the department in charge of magical youth. He is tasked with determining whether 6 dangerous magical children are likely to bring about the end of the world. So this book has themes of found family and making gray area decisions. there are a lot of things in this world today that are really gray area decisions, so I think portraying it in a really happy story and basically just seeing it all work out is going to be very uplifting, and I can't wait to see it. And I know what you're thinking. No, women's bodily autonomy is not a gray area. It's not what I'm talking about. The fifth book on my list is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabel Monaghan. I'm really going in blind with this one. I actually don't really know much about it. I haven't heard anybody talking about it, but I read the synopsis for it and it's giving me vibes like it's going to be beach read and book lovers combined, but with what both of those I thought were missing, if that makes any sense. So this synopsis says, Nora Hamilton knows the formula for love better than anyone. As a Romance Channel screenwriter, it's her job. But when her too-good-to-work husband leaves her and her 2 kids, Nora turns her marriage's collapse into cash and writes the best script of her life. For me, beach read and book lovers both left something to be desired, and for me, that was really just the lack of a good character arc. Those were both character-driven stories, and what I'm looking for in a character-driven story is a good character arc, something that makes me feel like the character really made progress, and I didn't really get that from either of those books. I felt like the characters kind of ended up where they started. They just went through an experience that gave them a little bit of clarity, but it really didn't change anything in their lives. And so I'm hoping Nora Goes Off Script will have that. Side note, I've read like 3 books already just this year that the main character's name is Nora. Why is Nora such a popular name? Does anybody know? If you do know, please tell me. So the 6th book is Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. This is another newer release that I haven't heard very many people talking about, but just by reading the synopsis, it sounds super interesting. From what I can tell, this is going to be a story about the human experience. It's set in a bunch of different timelines, but all of the timelines are united by one common experience. The synopsis for this book says, Edwin St. Andrew is 18 years old when he crosses the Atlantic by steamship, exiled from polite society following an ill-conceived diatribe at a dinner party. He enters the forest, spellbound by the beauty of the Canadian wilderness, and suddenly hears the notes of a violin echoing in an airship terminal. So this book sounds like it's going to be part sci-fi, part time travel, part human exploration. It sounds like something that's really going to get into your head and get into your heart. And I'm just very excited to read it. Number 7 is The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. So here's the thing. I never actually read To All the Boys I Loved before. I did see the movies, and I thought they were precious. They were so cute, and I really enjoyed them. After I saw the first To All the Boys I Loved before, I thought I should read the book. So I picked it up, and I read the first paragraph of the first book. And maybe I should look this up so I don't totally sound stupid, but this is just what I remember. It said something along the lines of, I like to protect things, not important things like whales or the environment, but all the little things like my trinkets. And I was like, oh man. This girl is gonna be so immature, and she is totally not self-aware, not aware of this world. This is not someone that I want to spend my time with. And so I closed the book and never picked it up again. Now I think I really just want to give Jenny Han another chance. Maybe Belly is better. Maybe Belly is going to be more self-aware than Laura Jean. I don't know. But really, I'm really just looking for the same optimistic charm from this book that I got from the movies. I feel like we've all been Laura Jean at one point in our lives, and it wasn't funny back then, but now, in my 30s, it's pretty funny. So I'm hoping for all the nostalgia, the fuzzy feelings, just the pretty, whimsical imagery. I think it's going to be a good time, and I'm excited. The Layover by Lacie Waldon. This is another popular booktube book that I have seen everywhere, but just haven't picked up yet. It's another one set on vacation. This follows 2 flight attendants, and I think it's an enemies to lovers romance, workplace romance, and that's always fun. So the synopsis for this book says, after 10 years as a flight attendant, Ava Green is poised to hang up her wings and finally put down roots. She's got one trip left before she bids her old life farewell, and she plans to enjoy every second of it. But then she discovers that former pilot Jack Stone, the absurdly gorgeous, ridiculously cocky man she's held a secret grudge against for years, is on her flight, as if he doesn't remember the role he played in the most humiliating night of her life. Good thing she never has to see him again after they land. What do you think's gonna happen? Of course she's gonna see him again. That's how these work. Fun fact, my dream job growing up was to be a flight attendant. It never worked out. Honestly, it's still kind of my dream job. If there are any airlines that want to hire someone who's 5 feet tall, please call me. I'm just expecting it to be pretty dreamy, nostalgic, pretty much all of the same things as The Summer I Turned Pretty, just more of the same. I'm just in the mood. Every Summer After by Carley Fortune. Maybe I'm reading this for disingenuous reasons. I think I've mentioned it in like the last 2 videos, how much I really just don't like alternating timeline books. I don't know what it is, but I am determined to figure it out. So this book is another alternating timeline story, and I am going to use it as a data point to help me figure out what is going on. And maybe one day I will find one that I genuinely love, and it really enhances the story rather than detracts from it. So the synopsis for this book says, "They say you can never go home again, and after Persephone Fraser, ever since she made the biggest mistake of her life a decade ago, that has felt too true. Instead of glittering summers on the lake shore of her childhood, she spends them in a stylish apartment in the city, going out with friends and keeping everyone at a safe distance from her heart, until she receives a call that sends her racing back to Barry's Bay and into the orbit of Sam Florrick, the man she never thought she'd have to live without. I promise I'll go into it with a good attitude." It actually sounds like it's going to be a really sweet story, and I'm really hoping for the best. Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. What I'm about to say may make no sense, especially because of the presence of another Christina Lauren book on this list. I am a little bit tired of the basic rom-com style of book. For me, reading one of these books is basically like watching a Lifetime movie. They're comfortable and fun, but then I don't really think too much about them when I'm done with them. A lot of them have been a little bit of a letdown recently. Maybe just because I've read a bunch of Emily Henry books, all of them actually that I know of, and I didn't really like any of them, and they were quite a large percentage of this style of books that I had read recently. So maybe that's why I feel like a lot of them have been a letdown, but I do have Unhoneymooners and The Layover on this list, and I'm excited for those, so hopefully this whole genre isn't just not my thing. One of the reasons why I picked this one in particular was that I watched a video recently from the Fun Size Reader, and she basically said that this book is different from other Christina Lauren books because it focuses less on the romance and it's more focused on the adventure. So this book is about a woman who is running like a tour guide ranch business, and someone from her past comes to like do this treasure hunt adventure with her that she's running. And so the story is, of course, about their romance, but it's also about the treasure hunt. And Amanda from the Fun Size Reader was sort of surprised that the book focused a lot less on the romance and more on the adventure, the treasure hunt. And when I heard that, I was just like, yes, that is what I need. I am feeling a little bit burnt out on just the character-driven romances, and I've been into the plot-driven things. So I think this is going to be a great balance between having that little bit of emotional aspect versus having more of a plot and having action to keep things moving. So I have one bonus book, and that is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. I decided to pick it up just because I had heard it was going to be a TV show, or it is a TV show, and one of my hobbies is to read books that are getting turned into TV shows and movies, so that when other people I know have watched the TV show, I can be that person that comes along and is like, hey, the book's better. You should read the book. I'm hoping it's not too boring. Based on what I've just said about being a little bit burnt out on the romance, character-driven stories and looking for plot stories, I think I might find this a little bit dull, but like every summer after, I promise to go in with a good attitude and try to look for the best in it. You know, take as much as I can from it without being like, no, this is boring. So those are all of the books on my summer TBR. I'm really excited to dive into all of these books, and I'll probably do some reading vlogs along the way to update you on how all of these books are going. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. So that's all for today. See ya!